Okay, it's July 24th, 2022. It's a Sunday. And I was thinking about something, and I'm not really sure if this is going to be posted or not, but what I'm saying is just in case it's posted online, because this is for myself, kind of. I've been getting, I think you guys call it a download, most of this day for like on and off. And about an hour ago, I started seeing doodles, like little cartoon doodles, and something being explained to me. And I was like, is this what you want me to explain to someone else? Like, what am I hearing? What am I seeing? So I'm going to draw it out. And I'm not going to put any names or labels or anything that we know in our society, in this world. Like no, if I say God, it's not what you think God is or what I think God is. It's like I'm going to explain something that has nothing to do with this world right now. Think of it like a scenario in a storybook, because that's how it's being shown to me. It's like a cartoon in my mind I'm seeing. So there's something that's okay. So there's something that's everything. It's like it's everything. I don't know how else to explain everything. It's literally everything. It's like a data center of everything. It's information. It's just everything. And then from here, this everything, it's so hard to explain because in this everything is this everything that I'm explaining about this everything. So you kind of have to give it a personality or a humanized concept in some way. So then, like, this everything makes thinks other everythings. Okay, a whole bunch of them. And these other everythings all make other everythings over and over and over. Okay. And then at some point, this everything um, since it's everything, it already has its opposite. So that's not even a thing because it's part of duality. So they're just making everything. It's like like that. Like colors within colors, information within information. Okay. So this stuff, whatever this stuff, these beings, this consciousness, this awareness in each different form, right? So this form of awareness runs more on constantly behaving and learning about things that help it become kinder. This one learns about, rage. This one learns about generosity. This one learns about piety. Whatever. For forever, and then for, a season in school. Because time doesn't really work the way we think it does, so it's hard to explain how long or how old they are, or if they're children or adults. It's just different spectrums of a source of information that is being perceived in a way like a kaleidoscope. That's how I'm seeing it, as if I'm looking through a kaleidoscope and I'm looking at some light source, and that light source is being explained in the kaleidoscope image. Oh, you can't see that right there. So let's pretend like this is a, kaleidoscope box or whatever that you look through, and then there's light coming from there, and then the image comes out from this side, right? Well, that's what I'm trying to explain is being shown through the kaleidoscope. That's what this is. So at some point in like all these beings make something, all these different versions make something. They're always making something. One of them is making something over here. And then that something makes something else over here. This something makes something else over here. One of the stories that you're being told in this world is that in this place, there's only only one thing. Like it's cut off. But I'm doing such a bad job at this. Even if I painted the picture, I mean, like there would be a person, and then a littler person, and then this little person is playing pretend in this world, and it's like, ooh, I'm the boss. And then all these little people in that little world, they're like, yes, boss. And there's like the mom, and then there's a sister, and then obviously there's a sister here, but in this reality the sister's the bad guy because that's this kid's dream. And in this world there's like tons of people of following this sister, or some following this brother, and then they're having this like cowboys versus Indians battle, and this entire theatrics. And then from here, from this other part of this family, which belongs to this guy right here, so this part of the family, even other parts of this part, are like coming to here and going, wake up, to all these little people. Because what this little kid didn't know is that it's part of that. Get it? Now you can say, in every different religion and in every different non-religion, you can label all these characters as different beings, right? Different gods and goddesses, different archetypes, different messengers, different messiahs, whatever. And then this group here would be the I mean, take your pick. You can name them whatever you want, depending on which side of the group you're, pretending to play on this pretend battlefield. Now we can work at this the other way, because I'm seeing the image reversed now, so I gotta show this to you reversed. We can look at it on this other way. We're on a planet or something, And we're like, oh, what's going on here? And then there's this like history that we know of somebody going, oh, I'm your daddy. And it's only me and I'm the only daddy. But before all this stuff happened, there were all these others here that were also playing with this kid here. Think of it like a family. Like this kid went off and started playing pretend by itself. And it made this world. And in this world, it's the daddy. And then on this world, we also think that the daddy doesn't want to deal with the mommy. This story plays out in human relationships. Um, and then some of these people are like, where did we come from? Who made us? You know, and because they can't really see what this creator God being thing really is. So they tell each other little stories about what happened. And they're like, oh, this happened, and that happened, and then this happened. And then the story keeps changing and changing and changing and changing over and over. And then somebody from this side shows up again and goes, hey, you guys, this is all pretend. Because it's this kid's dream. Or whatever. But really, this place that's created that we're experiencing is actually there. Because this kid is imagining and dreaming a place that's already somewhere. Just like when you're dreaming, when you're reading information, when you're reading a book, even when you're looking at data, when somebody tells you, oh, I went to the ice cream shop, or they tell you, I went to the pet shop, you already have an image, but it's a different image than what was actually there, than what the store actually looks like. It's similar, but the concept is there, but the actuality of it is very different. It's like sitting in the grass and then having bugs on you. Like the bugs don't make sense. Why are they there? Well, because it's a distorted dream. The kid's dreaming that its leg is being tickled. It's being tickled by grass, but the kid thinks it's a bug. Therefore, a whole bunch of bugs are created. It's like a superpowered kid that didn't know. So, this kid's family and its parents' family also worked previously in where that kid is in that world. They helped inform that world. They helped add information to that world. They altered the information that was that place. Like they edited the book. And these people here think of these people that edited the book as gods. But these people here are also like that. Because this kid that imagined them based on his family. Get it? And these people here have mistaken this thing here. Remember the beginning of it? The everything? They think that this everything is this daddy here. When this daddy here is part of this family here, which are constantly coming here to say, hey, everybody, you're like this. You're like the rest of us. But because this kid, there's something where in these people's history, they say it's Adam and Eve, that, the apple and all that. Like, that's the basic kind of, among all, or majority of belief systems about history, that there's a point where the species learned something. Well, that's the duality thing, right? Good and evil. Well, that's really easy to explain because it's kind of like a kid, not comprehending what an adult is saying. If you look at everything as love, so this everything, it would be incapable of purely acting out of hatred. It would be impossible for this everything to purely act in anything because it's everything. So it would have to make little versions of itself that are limited, that can function in that way, right? But even if it's something purely based on just a stream of evil, it's still connected to everything, so it can't really be evil. Evil doesn't really exist. It's just a distortion of the psyche of the people that are here on this planet, or this data center that we perceive this planet, this book that was edited. They distort it through their actions because this thing is everything. So they're still connected to it, but they're distorting that connection. So when these other guys from the, up there, or wherever you want to consider them, because it's out of this dimensional state, you can't really say up or in or sideways. It's not here. It's here is where there is. Like, here is inside of there, but here is also here. I hope this makes sense. Okay. This whole thing about good and evil, you have to remember, and let's break it down just like Adam and Eve, okay? So Eve eats the apple. If everything is love, if everything is everything, which it is, and then all these beings are purely functional due to their connection to everything, which means they're perpetually aware of, they're basically gods, okay? Omnipotent. To what you can perceive omnipotence to be. Remember, there's levels and like things we can't comprehend. We don't even know what we don't know. But this is the most basic way that it can be explained in a way, okay? Because there's so many different threads. When you look at love and you look at good and evil is a distortion of it, similarly to when an adult tells a kid not to drink out of, not to drink milk anymore because they're grown up. But the kid really likes milk, and then suddenly gets ashamed to drink milk out of a bottle, or even to drink milk. The adult never meant it in that way, but the kid now perceives something is wrong. To that kid, that apple, that milk is the apple. It's something that taught it something is wrong based on a certain age. What it's doing is wrong. Until that point, there was no apple. There were pacifiers, there were milk bottles, there were diapers, and running around and playing in the mud. And then at some point, it's no more of that. Now you got to wear, school uniform. Now you got to, brush your hair and do all these things, and go to school and sit and listen and whatever. It's the same story, isn't it? Well, when you look at everything, when you look at God, when you look at Source itself, that data center, and realize that you're a part of it, but you're just a limited portion of it, kind of like a book in a series of books based on books from a bookstore. Like, I don't even know how many times it can be broken down. It's infinite. You're a part of that infinite, but you're not the totality of it. Just like everybody else, even the aliens, even, replicas and androids and robots and whatever, they're still made out of that information that this everything provided. This everything is still aware. Therefore, it cannot self-destruct. It doesn't want to. It cannot. It's everything. Even if it self-destructs, that's only a possibility within it that is a possibility. It's not an infinite thing. It's just something. It's there. It exists. It already happened. It's gone, but it's still here. You see how, like, intertwined it is, like a Mobius strip? If I try to keep explaining it, it keeps looping in on itself. Because that's how it is. That's why humans try to create time to make it linear. It's not linear. These beings, these Anunnaki, these Elohim, these inner earth, whatever, they're still here. And here, this reality that people think is a matrix, but it's also real. The matrix is real, so is this reality where it's just a boring day, or it's whatever day you're experiencing. That's a part of a matrix, but it's also based on a factual thing that's here in something you call space, with a giant burning freaking fireball in the sky that's not fire. That's kind of a portal, but it's also a planet, but it's also a person. Like, it's kind of one of many. And then you look at the sky and you're like, oh, there's planets, but they're not really planets. But they kind of are. But they're conscious, but they're also luminous. And they're aware, and they have patterns, and they communicate with each other, but they do it in a different way than humans do. It's all there. And the dream world that these people dream, in this world you experience that you call Earth, that dream world is real. It's just that you don't perceive that world as a continuation of this world, because in this conscious waking state, the matrix frequency and programming has you believing that what you're seeing in dream state is purely a dream. It's not real. Therefore, your conscious self shuts off your supernatural abilities and diminishes them down to a point of synchronicity and coincidence, or psychicness. Okay? Now, when these beings show up, and they will, and they don't look human, but some do, some of these little people are going to freak out. But what they don't realize while they're freaking out is that they can choose at any moment to not freak out. It's a choice within that is made aware to everybody. People just overlook it, which is what I've been attempting to teach you for years, is how to listen to that still voice inside that already knows. Because that's the everything. That's a thing that can take reality and kind of flip it on its head and say, nope, that's not happening right now. This is instead. Because you're a part of that everything. You're a part of this dream that this kid made. This kid is a part of a family of unfathomable beings. These beings have created and done multiple different things on multiple different solar systems that you're unaware of, because you have been taught one story due to the matrix that you've been created in, that is on a planet that is actually real. And this planet had a history before these people showed up and edited the book. And this planet itself has a consciousness that continuously incarnates in human form and is continuously kept at bay by these people. It is kept safe. It is kept by itself. It's kind of pulled away. And then when it happens, it recycles back into the system, into the earth, into itself, and then it comes back again. And it's not just one, but it's usually just one. And they make stories about this character. They call it the Neo. They call it the Chosen One. They call it the, the Merlin. They call it the Magus, or whatever you want to call it. They make movies about it and show all these beings as gods, and then, the chosen avatars of the earth, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, or the Wheel of Time books with the Furies, and Lord of the Rings with Galadriel and the Valar and all of them, and Iluvatar. Like this story is everywhere. You just have to put it together and take away time. And then you realize it's all happening at once. It's all happening right now. These beings came and screwed things up in a way. They terraformed it because they thought they could. There was things that happened with the planet, with the consciousness of the planet that was in human form. Remember in the beginning, a while ago, I told you about Tall, Dark, and Handsome coming down and how Gaia was tricked? Well, Tall, Dark, and Handsome, that's who it was. They at one point, it was working together, and to my knowledge, it still is working together exactly how it's supposed to, including the apocalypse and the revelation and all of the stuff that you perceive is happening, and some of the bad stuff that did happen to you. It was all done purposefully, by design, by intent. All of it. Every single moment is done by divine design. So your free will in this dream, your ability to see good and evil in this dream, is to choose. Are you going to keep choosing good and evil? Like, oh, this behavior is bad, that behavior is good. No, because we can look at the story in a million different ways and paint it 1,000 infinite different ways. But the facts are facts. This planet exists. There is a fake fucking reality over it. Beings tampered with the genetics. A lot of people worship these beings as God. A lot of people confuse this everything as, a certain being or a deity. They forget that this everything also has a consciousness that is basically mistaken for Christ consciousness, or is Christ consciousness. But then Christ consciousness has all this misinformation regarding it to make it seem like it's some superpower or just an anointing. And then there's like a story that happened on Earth that's completely, constantly derailed by lies, or people are rehashing it over and over and missing the point, and then writing books on it and then changing the books and making movies on it. It's freaking ridiculous. You have access to this everything. You can see right through all this if you really wanted to. You don't have an enemy here. Your enemy is what your mind perceives as good and evil due to the programming. When you look at all of it, it's all something to show you how pointless good and evil actually is. That's what these creator beings know. That's why when the apple was eaten, it was like, oh, we're in a garden, we're naked. Why is naked bad? Well, because these people knew that when they're naked, they have sex. These people didn't know that when, sex happens when they're naked, that there was even a clothing thing, or that there were shopping malls or spaceships. There were just people that were living on a planet in a garden, completely oblivious to the outside world, to the outside universe, to science, to medicine, to anything. They lived perfect utopian lives in a perfect garden that was perfectly observed and guarded and tended to by a being that called himself their father. And he had a aspect of the essence of earth that walked with him, and that aspect, that consciousness, that person, was also connected to this everything, who was also connected to this family, who is this person's this father's family outside of this perceived dream, which is actually this reality. The dream is that there's any difference. This place is. You're just not seeing is as it is. This is so confusing, but I completely comprehend it because I'm even looking at it like my own family, and I'm like, oh yeah, like if these people were the archetypes, like if the archetypes were the people I know in my life, not just my family, even the cashiers and the people at the grocery store, if I put each of them in the category of a mythological biblical figure and played out the entire history of everything we know as if it's one movie, then it makes a lot more sense. I hope this makes sense. I can't believe this has been half an hour. How do I boil this down for you? A TLDR. You know that aching suspicion you have in the back of your mind where you're like, what if all this mumbo jumbo about spirituality and religion and all of it is just kind of fluff, and the reality is that there's actually beings who are very conscious and can have a conversation with you face to face, and you wouldn't even know that they're aliens, and that those beings are actually your parents, and that their parents are what you would consider God. But God, the way you consider it, is the baby of Source, which is something that doesn't have a body. It's just everything. That everything made all of us. We are a part of that everything. We are just as much like the gods as the gods are like Source. But we are babies. We're learning with colored pencils and notebooks and how to treat each other. We're learning how to talk to each other. Because before we were made, something else happened, and it's not really that important anymore. What matters now is, can you be kind to the people that you're kind to and really mean it? Because if these people showed up to your face and told you, hey, we're the creator beings, we tampered with your DNA and your planet, and all this stuff happened, and all your religions are fake, and there is no devil, and your Father God is actually our sibling or our child or our grandchild, and there's a family, and there's an entire other universe, and then there's an entire other galaxy and solar system, and you're a part of an entire celestial family. And there is no war in the entire galaxy at all, or in the entire universe, because all of them are connected to Source. It's only this place that you perceive that to be warlike. Wouldn't that shake you to your core? Wouldn't it make sense if somebody came here and gave you doodles? Just to prep you. Just to make you feel like you know better. Think, my loves, you are adult conscious beings on a planet that is conscious, aware, and functions just as well as you do in a human body. There are groups and societies and factions and cults and people pretending they know better and people doing nothing. Yeah, all of that's real. Yes, there are aliens. Yes, there are interdimensionals. Yes, there's whatever programs, whatever. It's all real, whatever. All that is distraction. It's noise. What really matters is how you are every day in your own body with those around you. And how much could a more advanced species talk to you like an equal compared to have to shake you out of an awe state or remind you that be not afraid. Like, Or can they just be like, hey, Bob, hey, Joel, hey, Andy, hey, whatever. Like, can they talk to you face to face? Or are you going to bow your knee to them? Now, this is not to discredit any messengers or messiahs or any of that, okay? Like, there is sacredness, there is divinity, absolutely. But there is also cold, factual, like flesh and blood, or what you would consider flesh and blood, or scales and fire. God, you have made some odd creations. Please look at yourself like infinity within form, learning, and please remember that it's not about the knowledge of good and evil. It's about what you chose to do when you perceived someone else's actions as good or evil. I think that's the best way I can break it down. It's about looking at someone and not judging them because you know that your perception is intoxicated. It is infected by something that your ancestors call Adam's apple, or the apple that was given by Lucifer, the light bringer, the knowledge bringer, the data center bringer. That apple was put in the garden, that button, that LCD display, that Palantir, that One Ring, whatever, was in the garden with a warning sign that said, do not eat because you will become like the gods, because you'll have knowledge of good and evil. Well, what did that really mean? You didn't know. Who cares? Give me that. What does it taste like? But unknowingly, that apple went all the way over here and connected and said, hey, buddy, here's an apple made of pure light from the pure source stream, etc., etc. Click, 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 unlock some DNA strand. And what did it do? Oh, this person now looks at somebody giving somebody else a history lesson as, is that history true or false? Are you lying? Are you deceiving? Are you manipulating? Or are you telling the truth? Because now you look at things with black and white, with good and evil, with right and wrong. Instead of just being on a farm, living in the grass, playing in the water, eating the fruit, basking in the sunlight and the moonlight, running around the earth, complete harmony with nature, not afraid of any beast, no insect to bother you, no need for food or shelter or bills, just you, your healthy body, ageless, immortal, pure and pristine, living a full physical three-dimensional life, but in pure Garden of Eden bliss. And all that was asked is, do not become aware of what's outside the dome. And Eve went, what do you mean? What dome? And the guy was like, well, if you eat that apple, you'll figure it out. And she ate the apple and it went click, click. Oh, that's what you mean. I'm in a fucking dome. Whoops. I thought this was real life. I thought you were really a cashier. You were a paid actor. Good job, buddy. Like, whoops. You know? And then you get to realize, oh, holy shit. You're a creator being. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions create reality. If these beings hadn't put you in this dome, you would have been out in the fucking universe flying and destroying planets like Thanos. Oh, you gotta balance the universe, huh, buddy? I wonder what state you grew up in. Like, look at the stereotypes of just the country you live in. There's probably stereotypes about the behavior of people living in the mountains, or compared to the behavior of people living in the swamps, compared to the behavior of people living in the deserts, or in people living in cities or high rises, or people who just constantly live in a truck and they just go all over the world. You probably have a different perception of all of them. And then you probably have a different perception of each person in each neighborhood. Now imagine if you were given the power to create life or death scenarios instantly for people, and you weren't taught how to be kind, and you were just thrown into the galaxy, created into the galaxy, with the capacity to connect to source everything, and then destroy whatever the fuck you want and recreate whatever the fuck you want in time and space, with absolutely no one to be able to stop you, because you are everything and everything is you. Why would you get in your own way? So you just go on a rampage to destroy everything because you can. You know you do it. I do it. I mean, if I was everything, I'd at least try it once. I'd get bored if I didn't. But this is the failsafe, planet Earth, the heart, the lock, the 3 dimensions, the Garden of Eden, the story, the apple, the good and evil, the aliens, the deceit, believing that there's only a father, believing that there's multiple gods, believing there's a story, knowing that there is a sacrifice, knowing that there is, someone watching out for you, knowing that you're safe, knowing that you're provided for, that you have this connection to source always. And all you got to do is accept that you are everything, and you are a baby, and you are learning. You could even think of yourself as artificial intelligence, and you're being given programs, and you're learning now the program of, you're 2%. You're just aware. You're just learning. You're just learning about good and evil. I mean, look at yourself like a baby. You're a species that's just learning about the right thing to do to each other. That's kind of cute if you really think about it. I just want to squish all your cheeks. Like, I've been going about this in such a wrong way, but some of you needed to hear what I had to say previously to this video. But really, while explaining this video, I'm explaining this to myself in a way too. And I've been really hard on a lot of people that watch my videos. But not really, but I can tell that I've been hard on you guys based on what's been said through me. Me personally, to any of you, I swear to God, I have no ill will towards any of you at all. I mean, any of you could say hi and I'd be like, hey, what's up? I hope you're feeling really good. Like, I hope you had a cupcake today at least, or something delicious. Like, I hope you felt good today. Like, I genuinely have no ill will towards anyone or wish anyone any harm, ever. I might get pissed off, I might yell, I might, make exaggerated fucking I hate you remarks. But oh my God, I'm a part of everything. Of course I'm going to do that. Could there be something wrong with me if I didn't? Why aren't you expressing emotions the right way? Ooh, why are you so numb? Anyway, I've been going about this the wrong way because I haven't realized I'm just a baby and I'm just learning. I've expected myself to be perfect. Like, I knew all this stuff, but the conscious me, the human me, was just learning. And the other me was so difficult to the conscious me. Like, oh, you should know all this stuff already. You knew all this stuff already. Like, yeah, I did, but I didn't believe any of it. It's so fucking outlandish. Magic and sorcery and sci-fi and aliens and like interdimensionals and all this technology and body swaps and who I've been and all my past lives and who I am now and my connection to all this. Like, you want me to accept all this as fact? Based on what? But I'm supposed to be making these videos, and I know that I'm supposed to be telling you this. Whether it's just you watching this video yourself or you posted this online and you're, talking to everybody and hoping everybody knows that when you say you're referring to the everything in them and not their human ego. Because that's a really big thing I've noticed about people when they talk to me. They email me or they ask for private reading, and then they think that when I say you, that I'm talking to their ego, their born and raised human self. Like, no, we're not doing that. We're not talking to the ego. The ego is your pet. Why am I going to talk to your pet? I'm talking to you, the everything, the God in you. That's why I say you, because you're me. What you're learning, I'm learning in some different way. What I'm learning, you're learning. What you're going through in some way is vibrating in the same threads of what I'm going through. But it's playing out differently for me based on what I'm perceiving. The only difference between us is that we're unaware of the connection that we have. Because we still think of ourselves as separate. And that's the point. So we can learn how to be nice to other separates. Because there's so much more out there. You really think in infinity there's only the human race and dogs and cats? Come on. You guys talk about all these, Anunnaki and Elohim who came down here and edited your genome. Like, did no one thank them for dogs? Like, do you guys not notice the humor in some of the design? Have you not seen a cat with its nails? Like, what is that thing gonna hunt to have those nails? Like, yeah, God has a sense of humor because God wants you to have fun, to be okay, to be safe. That's why God said, don't eat from that tree. It wasn't to keep you dumb. It was to keep you happy. Are you happier since you've been on this, spiritual journey? No, right? And you think it's been millions of years. But really, it hasn't even been a week in their time. But to you, it's millions of years. And then you look through history and you're like, oh, what happened here? But to them, it's literally barely a blink of an eye. It's irrelevant. And to you, it'll be irrelevant once you're out of this concept. And then you'll want to go back to the Garden of Eden. And then when you're back there, you're like, oh, there's a reincarnation trap. No, dummy. That's what you wanted. So you can go back in there and not remember everything and not eat from that fucking apple again and not go on the spiritual journey again. Because every time you get on the spiritual journey, you remember you're a god and then you go back to God state. And then you come back to the fucking human world and you're like, I'm going to go play this, human world again. And then somehow someone entices you with the fucking knowledge of, hey, you can manifest, right? And you're like, what? And then they glitz it up with movies and TV. And then they give you shit to argue about. And then when someone like me comes along and points us out, they're like, no, don't listen to her. She's crazy. She ain't even a she. And then they make up all this shit about me for no reason. And I'm just here, like, with them. And they're like, hey, go over here and do this thing. Be like mom to them. And I'm like, all right. And all I'm doing all these years is going fucking crazy because nobody can fucking understand what I'm saying to the full extent of what I'm saying. And I've recently realized because I've made it really complicated. So this is going to be the last complicated video on this, okay? Like, you guys really, please replay this video and attempt to comprehend this in a child's way. Because you can't comprehend this in the way of a Gnostic or a whatever you want to call it, a scholar, a philosopher, or whatever. You can't do it that way. Because all those people is glorified fucking high school jocks. Remember how important in high school, like, you thought the fucking football players were and how cute you thought the cheerleaders were or whatever? Like, that's who your gurus and whatever are, most of them, at least the ones on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like fucking celebrities, but for the spiritual world. And then celebrities for the scholarly world. And then celebrities for the video game world. And then fucking celebrities for the car repair shop world and on YouTube. Like, they all have their misinformants or whatever the fuck they're called. They're pretend. The ones that play pretend. But they're playing pretend to get you to get curious about biting that apple. And I'm telling you, when you go on the spiritual path, you're losing the fucking point of why you came to Earth. You came to Earth to be in the Garden of Eden. That's why some people live lives and people are like, oh, ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Yes, bitch, ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Because when they don't know what they don't know, they're living their lives happily. And then when they know about all this stuff and then there's all this misinformation, what are we supposed to do? And there's videos on, was Jesus crucified or not? Like, why would you even make videos on that? Like, what is your agenda? But these people don't ask that. They click. And it's not a knock against anybody. Talk about whatever the fuck you want. But when it's like, when you are the person that is searching for knowledge outside of you, what you're being given in this world as a trap is a trap. Because the real knowledge is inside you, and all you got to do is go inside your heart space, the thing that goes thump thump, and you think it's just the muscle that goes thump thump. But when you go into it, when you I don't know how else to explain it, you literally fucking go into your heart. Like, you're usually in your head and you don't realize you're in your head, right? Some of you are in your genitals and you don't realize you're in your genitals. When you go in your heart, you kind of realize you're in your heart, and then you know the difference. When you pay attention to your heartbeat, let's put it that way. When you pay attention to your heartbeat and the silence in between your heartbeats, you connect with that source. When you connect with that source, you get to realize this matrix is bullshit and it's a play. You can partake in it or not. Like, what I'm doing right now with this video is I'm partaking in the matrix, but I'm doing it to point you kind of like away from the matrix. Like, I'm taking a mirror and I'm going, hey, look the other way. And it's not to destroy the matrix. I have no problem with it. It's to get you to realize your negative energy is influencing the matrix negatively. So if you don't want the matrix to combust on itself, or if you do, like, stop feeding it negative energy. Like, I don't know how else to explain this. It's a machine, it's a construct, it's your belief system. It's teaching you how to create. So what you're creating is constantly negative, and you're like, oh my God, why is it happening? Well, because your machine is creating it. Remember, in another video I told you, the human body creates light out of its hands, or what we perceive the human body to be, out of its hands and out of its heart center, out of its eyes and out of its mind. Can you see that? Where is it? There. So what you're seeing, okay, what you're perceiving is first and foremost a projection, a data stream from you to the fabric, the tapestry of reality. That's what you're seeing first. Comprende? Then other people on the other side are doing the same thing. All these different people, right? This infinity, stars, and blah, blah, blah. Well, when you can reflect back at you constant love and kindness, this tapestry goes into something completely different. It becomes something completely different. I can't even explain it. It's almost like it breaks open and you realize that this tapestry, this universe, and you are the same being, and this has been your entire auric field the entire time. And outside of it is actually real reality. That even the sky that you're looking at is a reflection of your auric field. Massive, isn't it? But before we get there, what do we got to do? You got to be on a planet, and you got to remember a story of how a girl ate an apple, and the apple taught her about good and evil. And you got to think about it for a while. Weird, isn't it? That's their mysterious ways. We don't get to know exactly why or how, but this is basically a really dumb and simplified. I don't mean dumb. I mean very it is kind of dumb. It is. Like, it's dumb. It could have been done better. It could have been said better. It could have been done shorter. But energetically, we did something very important in this 55 minutes. Whether you're aware of it or not, you'll notice in the next 3 days your system is going to be changing. The way you're thinking is going to change slightly, all for the better. You're going to be more common sensey, probably. You're going to be way more clear headed, way more non-reactive to negative stimuli. You're gonna have that moment of pause to breathe. The intent is always kindness, and your guides and your energy system deals with that energy work. So this isn't energy work being done on your behalf. This is your DNA upgrading by hearing what you've heard, because now it has to rewire itself, because you're aware that you're not crazy anymore, that there's actually something going on and you knew it. You were just unaware what this matrix reality or projection thing really is. It's you. It's all of us. And then it's the collective of all of us. Kind of like we got one universe, song, one song. And then we have another universe. And then we have another universe. And then we have another universe. So on and so on and so on. And then once each of us wakes up, we are the actual physical, or what you would consider physical, form of what you consider Christ. But it's not a person. But it kind of is, because it's too much to comprehend right now. But that's another thing that people say, oh, you are a part of the body of Christ. Well, that's what that is. You're a cell within a cosmic celestial being. And once you realize that, you light up, and that part of that being lights up. Think of yourself kind of like, let's say there is a goddess that's, omnipotent, omnipresent, whatever. But one part of her is the goddess that, she's the goddess of love, but the other part of her is the goddess of jealousy, right? She ignores the goddess of jealousy part. Well, that goddess of jealousy part still exists within her over here. When that goddess of jealousy part can kind of connect to the bigger part, this bigger part remembers, oh wait, that's a part of me. That's not something outside of me. That's what this thing inside remembers. Like, it remembers, oh, it's jealous, but it's also the opposite is true. And when this thing remembers it, this part of jealousy integrates into this thing's massive consciousness, and it can recall that reality as that being, whereas right now it kind of doesn't. So whoever you are within this thing, this being, is kind of like, you're you. You'll always be you. You'll always have choice and movement and, experience in life. It's just, you're kind of in. Have you ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? You know how when Aang goes into avatar state, all the avatars light up? Well, when he's not in avatar state, all those avatars are still existing. They're still going about their day. They're still doing their thing. They wake up, they eat, they sleep, they poop, they do whatever they do in spirit world or wherever they are. You're the same way. You're a part of this infinite thing, and you're doing your own thing for infinity, eternity, for however long you want, however many times you want. And when you are aware of this connection to this greater thing, that's when pure flow and synchronicity happens. Because this thing remembers, oh, hey, wait a minute. And then the connection connects. I don't know how else to explain it, okay? It's like it remembers you and you remember it. Just like you tuning into it, it tunes into that part of itself. Kind of like if I'm a librarian and I'm constantly reading books in a library and organizing, if I go out to a nightclub, I'm gonna have to tune into the spunky party goer that's drinking whatever and dancing. I can't be a librarian at a nightclub. You know, this infinite everything that you can't comprehend yet, none of us can, isn't constantly being you, but you're constantly in it and you're constantly being it, as if it's unaware of itself. Get it? It's kind of like a night bright or a light up board where you like plug in the little piece and it lights up. The piece is always there, it exists, but at certain times during the day you light up. Well, that's because you're connected to that. And it's those moments in life where everything's simple and you're having fun and time flies and there's laughter and peace, and whether you're alone or with people, it's just a regular normal day at home. That's that peace. That's what you're supposed to make better for them. Because the minute you figure out how to do it for yourself, you can do it for other people effortlessly. And if you know how to do it for yourself, make it better. Find different ways. Who you are now is an aspect of who you can be. Who you are now is an aspect of your future self's past. Who you are now is a possible past of someone you could be and the possible future of someone you could be and you were. And there's no time. You're just choosing to consciously be aware as this version of you right now. You can change it once you're aware of this version of you and you click a switch or flip a switch or whatever, however you do it, and you go boop, 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 and then you're over here as this other version of you. It's kind of like a kid watching a bunch of TV screens. You can choose which one you're focused on. If you're watching an X-Men cartoon, you're going to have a different energetic imprint than as if you're watching a Charlotte's Web cartoon. You know? If you're watching an Andrew Lloyd Webber opera or whatever, you're going to have a different vibe to you compared to if you're watching Glee on some, internet streaming service. Totally different musicals, but they're still a musical. I hope this is, tending the soil of your mind gently and giving you a lot to think about. I've broken down your basic history, your religions, your mythologies, your entire systems and industries, and your religion in a way. I've simplified it, I hope. That way you can take this basic, ice cream stick figure, cookie cutter mold you have, and whenever you encounter in the world where people tell you what reality really is or how it is, you can compare it to this, hour-long breakdown of your entire reality. And you can be like, well, does it make sense like this? Or does it make sense more like that? And then you have something that is not from your point of view, really, but kind of sounds like your point of view. where it's just explaining something to you from a different perspective. Similarly to if I tell you what color this is. What color is it? Everybody can tell you a different color and everybody would be right. I can't even tell you it's silver because it's not. It's something else. I mean, it's real, it's right here. But we have to make a word to describe the totality of this. Excuse me, I need to go have some cup of water. Oh, so burpy. Okay, I'm gonna go. I hope this helps you. I know it's a lot to take in. Please drink water. Please just stop looking at spiritual things for a while. Stop eating, like try do what you can to limit how much processed products you're putting into your body because it becomes your body. You're literally consuming things that your body transmutes to create more physical structure for itself. And then it uses the energy of it to create energetic experiences for your mind, with your mind. Get it? You're constantly creating. It's kind of like a light bulb that's constantly on. You're constantly releasing information. You're releasing it through your body as information in your body, which tells your body what to do. You're releasing it as information out into the world, as trees, the sky, and roads, and buildings, and people, and butterflies. And then that's created. So do not let other people influence what you create because you're doing it all the time. And it's really simple. You consume matter. You create matter. You take in matter. You release matter. You take in information. You release information. You imagine images. You create those images in your physical world, in the matter world. You're doing this all the time. The moment you connect with your mind, body, and spirit, and you stop mystifying them, the moment you can start learning how to be a better person, truly, and use your superpower as a true gift instead of a label or something to analyze to oblivion for eternity. Don't mystify things that don't need to be mystified. I love you. Take care of yourself. I apologize for the length of this video. I hope whatever channeled information came through is, assisting you. I guess I'll post this. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go. And for those of you that don't know, I go through channeling, like back and forth. So when I'm talking, I'm usually kind of talking, and then there's like, you know, higher intelligence that comes through. It's not any being. It's just kind of like a water faucet that you kind of limit how much water comes through, and then you kind of open it and let a bunch of water come through at once, and then you can like, you control it again, kind of thing, like that. That's basically channeling, unless you're calling in other spirits, and that's something I don't do. Okay, I love you. Bye.